The Securities and Exchange Commissioner, Gary Gensler, is potentially going to be removed from the case against Binance, and potentially they would drop it on Coinbase as well, because he was allegedly offered to be an analyst for Binance in 2019. So that is a conflict of interest there. And the Wall Street Journal actually stated that, hey, he was approached by many firms, but Binance is actually coming back and saying no. Gensler was pitching himself for the job to try to make some money. That is incredibly interesting. And a few days ago, Gary went on to CNBC and talking about how we already have a digital currency.
Debate as to the use cases and whether there's any there. Look, we don't need more digital currency. We already have digital currency. It's called the US dollar. It's called the euro. It's called the yen. They're all digital right now.
Yeah, but it's not backed by anything. It's backed by, people want to argue. It's backed by the government. However, we have the faith that the government is actually going to use its FDIC, Federal Deposit of Insurance Corporation, to pay us our money if in case they default. Well, in 2009, they took almost 2 months to decide to save some banks. And we've already had some banks fall under, Silicon Valley Bank and a few others, because they were over leveraged on their treasury bills. They were buying old T-bills or had old T-bills that wouldn't have hurt their balance sheet if they let them come to maturity, but because they needed to sell them to pay off their debts, they were selling them for a loss, because current treasury bills are quite a bit more as far as yielding goes, because interest rates are right at like 7-8% right now as compared to their older ones. So the argument that I have all the time with people is that our money is backed by the government. Well, really, it's backed by the faith that the government is going to print more money and devalue our money further to pay off the debts. We just raised the debt ceiling because we're getting close to an economic collapse. There's a really good book about the New World Order, and it's quite frightening as far as the cycles over hundreds and thousands of years as far as what countries go through. And we're pretty close to a bust cycle, where the last 100 years or so, you had the Depression and we had 2008, now we've had the pandemic, but relatively we've been in an uptrend as far as markets. I guess the Depression was the 20s, the 30s. So we were right around that 100-year mark there. But my argument with saying digital currency is, yes, it's digital, right? And why does the government not want you to pay with cash with anything? Because they can't track it. They can't get taxes on it, right? That's the biggest fight that they have for digital currency, is that it's decentralized. They do not control it. Right now, if I wanted to go take $10,000 out of my bank, I would need a good reason as to why. If my name was Muhammad or something different, they might go, oh, actually, we're going to check out and know my customer a little bit more before I release your funds. Well, realistically, with how Bitcoin was designed, it was to be decentralized. It was to be anonymous, so that you could, hey, I want to send money across the world quickly and cheaply. Here we go, boom. And then now we have some staking stuff where the network is getting the reward and it's pushing it throughout everyone that is on the network, as opposed to a bank that's giving you interest where they can go invest it somewhere else and make quite a bit more money off your money. It's the people are getting more in control. So therefore, I argue that, hey, the United States dollar, whatever, the yen, the euro, it is not on the blockchain, okay? And it's not using the technology of digital currency, and most of it is decentralized. There will become a time, and this is just all putting things on hold so that they do figure this out, that do governments and the United Nations, big banks, they start figuring out, hey, what network are we going to use to do this? Because once this stuff becomes on the blockchain, it is tracked. It's just a giant ledger. Just like our banks right now, we have a ledger. It's just really slow because we have an old system. It's called a SWIFT system that is back from the 70s, and it's incredibly slow. It's how the credit cards work right now. And the blockchain is that SWIFT system 2.0 is what we're going towards. But man, I want to know what you guys think, if there's a conflict of interest with Mr. Gensler asking for a job with Binance just a few years ago. But this is Johnny Crypto here to help you guys make some money.